welcome to the Pixelated Sausage Show. Hi. How is everyone doing? Hopefully well. I am, of course, your host, Mark Krishnez. Hi. How you doing? I had to clear up some space on the hard drive because, as you know, I'm still playing through Death Stranding for Attack the Backlog, streaming it every weekday, every weeknight, starting at 7 p.m. Central to around 11 p.m. Central. And the hard drive is so full of Death Stranding stuff, nothing else. I have completed rendering out and all of that jazz with every other Attack the Backlog episode that is going to be coming out over the next few weeks, which includes we just put out the Cruising Blaster. Didn't, because I wanted to space out the driving ones. We have, let us check here. There's Sleeping Dogs for second runs, which I still have to record the audio and all that jazz for, but I finished rendering out the gameplay video, so that's not taking up space. We have Cruise and Blast, I was right there. Then Journey and Revenge of the Savage Planet, Maneater, and Shovel Knight. So we still have 5 of those, and then the second runs episode. But disregarding all that, I have so much Death Stranding stuff on there, which I just need to smush together and create something, even though I don't know how long the eventual Attack the Backlog episode for the game is going to be. I just need to clear up some space, so I need to do that either tomorrow or the time of this recording, the morning of this day, or this weekend. Otherwise, I can't record any more stuff, which is going to be a problem. But I am still playing that. We are either going to pass the 80-hour mark tonight, or we already just passed it this past stream on Thursday night. I am still loving the game so very, very much. I have been forced to make story progress, which has been fun, but also just sad in the sense that I really like building roads and I have no more roads to build. So I'm a little sad about that. But it's a fantastic game, and I can't wait to play more of it. It makes it hard to remove myself from it in order to play and check out some of these other games that I'll be talking about today, which include Destiny 2 Year of Prophecy, the most recent of this year's collection of stuff. I forget the name of the current campaign. What is it? Path of something, I think. Do a little quick check here. No, the Edge of Fate. Edge of Fate expansion, which is the current thing that recently dropped. But in addition to that, I also have Hyperspaced, Cook Serve Forever, Morgan, Metal Detective, Pinball FX, the Williams Pinball Volume 9 collection, which includes Pinbot, Taxi, and Whodunit, and then Pokettohiro. And we're going to start with Destiny 2 Year of Prophecy, which is, again, the most recent collection of the year-long content dump, which includes various things, but right now it is the Edge of Fate expansion. I guess that's what you call them. I, as you may remember, as you may know, I'm not the biggest Destiny 2 fan, or Destiny 1 fan for that matter. I enjoyed the first game enough, and I played through that all at once. I didn't do any of the DLC or expansions for that, I don't believe. And then with Destiny 2, I jumped in it at start, maybe, and I was like, yeah, this is more Destiny, it's fine, whatever, but didn't stick with it, and then eventually came back to it for Attack the Backlog and did Beyond Light or something along those. I did one expansion story just randomly because it was what the game dumped me in due to its incredibly poor onboarding for both new and returning players. At that time, I would have said it's very poor at onboarding new players because I wouldn't consider what I played prior to that as any kind of significant amount for me to be a returning player. However, having played all of that, spent with that expansion and a bit of offline stuff as well, probably a good 15, maybe 20 hours in the game, I would consider myself a returning player, especially since that was somewhat recent with this latest expansion. And I am still so blown away by how bad Destiny 2 is at onboarding new and returning players, because now I'm a returning player. When I tried to play the Path of Light, I already forgot it because I don't really care. The big gimmick shtick of this one is now you can transform into this Metroid Prime-esque morph ball and navigate certain spaces. That way you can go through pipes, you can do a bit of platforming, you have to do a bit of platforming as the ball, and you can activate certain devices by emitting a kind of energy blast when in that form, and then that opens up doors and the like for you in your traditional human form. That is its big new gameplay element. I would assume. I don't think there's anything else added because I haven't played through the whole thing. But just the act of starting that campaign was a pain in the ass. Because when I went to the actual menu to just go there, I see the campaign there, I see its name, and I want to start it. When I go there to initiate the first mission, it is grayed out. It's not allowing me to do anything. It says I haven't started the mission I need to do beforehand to activate it, I guess. And then I went to the main hub where I'm just looking anywhere for any kind of information on how to start that campaign. What do I have to do? I don't know. I go to the internet. I Google, how do I start this campaign? And there's no information out there at all. All the information is, how do I replay it again on Legendary? I don't know how to replay it. I've already replayed it. What do I have to do to do this? Nothing. I eventually, after maybe 15, 20 minutes of navigating menus, because I spent a little bit of time in the hub world and I followed some waypoints that took me to fucking nothing. I just started going through every menu I could find. And eventually I found some additional sub menu, something or other that had a way to start the thing. I don't know what it was. I don't remember. I couldn't tell you how I got there, but I got there, and it just is mind-boggling to me that it was as difficult and as aggravating and annoying and frustrating, and add whatever word you want to the pile, just to start this campaign. If I purchased it, which I got a code for it, so keep that in mind, but I owned it. If I own it, why can I not just go? Why are there these extra steps? There is no way I am the only person who has experienced this, where I went to the main thing where it just has all the things listed, all the various expansions, and I go there and it says, no, you can't do this right now. It wasn't, obviously, because I was able to eventually start it, it wasn't related to any kind of power level. And if it is related to a power level type thing, obviously, if you're a new player and you just purchased Destiny 2 and you bought some Ultimate Edition and you bought this, if you just committed to the game without knowing, which is a crazy thing to do, but say you did that and you purchased everything, if you need this power or whatever to play the game, to play that specific expansion, it should just have a thing that auto sets you up that way to what you need, the bare minimum. But it doesn't. Or I don't know. It is just the most cumbersome, uninviting experience for new and returning players. The only people who I think, and it seems like they cater to those people, so all right. And I'm curious what they think of the new expansion. But Destiny 2 feels like a game that is very much so catering to its main user base of active players and getting new people on board, bringing people back who are lapsed gamers, players. That doesn't matter. That would be a nice thing to have happen, but they don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about me. And I could be wrong. You may disagree, but at least my personal experience with the game, again, as a once new player and now a returning player, fucking nightmare. The second I booted it up, after 10 minutes, just wanted to stop playing. When I actually started playing it, I was just reminded of how much I don't love Destiny 2. Or I guess Destiny for that matter. Just in terms of the mechanics. I, don't like platforming, whether it is in first person as your humanoid form. I don't like moving around the world in that space. And I hate it when you are specifically asked to platform and get around some area when you're not. It's fine when you are jumping around an arena essentially in some kind of kill all the waves of enemies, that kind of situation, fine. But when I actually have to get from point A to point B through platforming, I don't love it. The platforming in this new morph ball-esque form, don't love it. Bit floaty, doesn't feel all that great, whatever. I don't know why they feel the need to add a kind of a gimmick in that sense to freshen out this expansion, I guess, to give it its own unique identity, to make it feel like it matters or something. Does it make it feel, to give it something to stand out? Don't do that. Just focus on what the people who like your game like, which I assume is the shooting and good scenarios. The fighting I went through in this game, few bosses and mini bosses, not that interesting. I remember enjoying at least the action of what I played earlier more than this. And maybe this is a weaker expansion. I haven't played through them all, so I can't compare and contrast. And I'm not that versed in Destiny 2 to really feel like an authority in the space. But I think it is valuable to have the opinion and thoughts of someone who is not that into it, so that if you are someone like me who maybe played a bit a while ago and would maybe like to return or want to try for the first time, what that experience would be like. But for me, it's a game that very much so, you could throw it in the same camp as Borderlands, but I enjoy playing Borderlands more on my own. Destiny is a game that is really meant to be played with other people. You can single player it, you can solo it, but soloing it is not a lot of fun. And for me, that comes down to the design of it in general, but also mechanically, I don't think it is a great feeling shooter. It's fine, it's solid, but I am nowhere near, and I do not understand the people who look at Destiny mechanically as one of, if not the best feeling first-person shooter ever made. Mind blown when I hear that. I just don't get it. I recently played Splitgate 2 since it was announced to be getting, I guess it'll still be available, but they are returning to beta technically, so it's going to be still available, but they're going to rework it and do whatever they're going to do. I like the way that feels as a shooter more than Destiny 2, for instance. That's just one example. The whole portal system of that is an afterthought, it seems like, though. Its main gimmick, what makes it unique, feels like something nobody even cares about. In all the matches I played, nobody was really utilizing those in any creative or interesting ways, or even at all in some cases. But yeah, my time so far with Destiny 2 returning was a mess. It was not a good time. So that's Destiny 2. After that, we have Hyperspace, which is a kind of overcooked, etc., but more so one where you are working together to keep a ship in ship shop shape. And I guess it is similar-ish to, I never played it, but I saw some comparisons to Love in a Space... Lover in a Death Space. I don't know. What you're doing is one person, or you can play the solo as well. I'll get to that. But in a cooperative environment, one person is controlling the ship, and they have in their section a kind of twin stick shooter environment that they're navigating through and completing certain missions. And then the people on board are repairing damage while also controlling the various turrets that you have installed. You have 4 slots for different turrets. That could be a shotgun turret, a missile launching turret, a laser. There are also some AI control turrets you can install that are obviously more advantageous and beneficial if you're playing by yourself. But when you are playing by yourself, you just control the ship yourself, and then you can fire one of the manually firing turrets on your own, like a twin stick shooter. And if you have any automated turrets, they'll fire on their own as well. And you are going on these very brief missions that may be split up in what I've played so far in, I think, just the first world and maybe a little bit of the second. I think there were a handful of worlds of roughly 12 levels each. But you're going on to these levels that are either comprised of a starting point and an end point, or they might have a middle not story mission, because it's not much of a story here, but a midpoint type mission in between. So you'll have it broken up into 3 or I guess 2 objectives really. But ultimately, in my time playing it by myself, I found it, playing on normal difficulty, incredibly easy. And once I got into the captain's chair where I was controlling my ship, you still see it has like a split screen type of setup. So you can still see your ship while you are navigating in the twin stick shooter space. There was no reason for me to ever get out of my chair to stop controlling the twin stick stuff and get on my ship to do any repairs. I never took any real damage, whether I was fighting a boss or a mid-boss or regular enemies or navigating the space, which feels a little bit like asteroids in terms of the way you control it, rotating your ship and thrusting using the thrusters. It was just mind-boggling easily. It was mind-bogglingly easy. And after playing 10 or so levels, I just wasn't super engaged with the game. It was fine, but it wasn't challenging. And the gameplay itself, the twin stick shooting, wasn't particularly fun. My biggest question, though, is how much fun is this going to be, or could it be as a cooperative game? I wish I had the ability to try that out, because in what I played, I can't imagine this being that fun as a cooperative game, because there's not a lot of multitasking to do. And maybe things change up when more people are added to the mix, and they're just doing a really good job of limiting what you need to do when you are playing solo so that less things happen. It doesn't make sense to me, though. So a bit disappointing there, both in terms of the stuff required of you on that multitasking level, but then also just the actual twin stick shooting aspect of it. That gameplay element doesn't feel all that great. So yeah. bit of a bummer there. That is Hyperspaced. Cook Serve Forever is, I think, an offshoot of the Cook Serve Delicious series that has way more of a narrative going on. Maybe there's a bit of a narrative in Cook Serve Delicious, but in what I remember of those games, they're very narrative light, if there's any narrative at all. So that's kind of interesting. I didn't really care all that much for what story was there, that I played through the first few chapters that are of varying lengths. There are maybe 10 chapters in total that could be comprised of, well, the slots can sometimes just be story-related things, but they could have over 10 elements to them, or just a handful, 3, 4 to them. So they vary in length quite a bit. But you'll get your story bits, characters, dialogue, cutscenes, and all that jazz. And then when the gameplay comes up, I don't know if it ever changes, but the way it works is that you have, I guess, not so much of time. It's the same thing of having a customer and needing to complete an order in a certain time to make them happy, make them a satisfied customer. And there are varying emoji equivalent smiley face types that will illustrate how happy they are or not with an order. I think with Cook Serve Delicious, you are taking on multiple orders so that there is that kind of multi-managing going on. And here you are doing a single order each time. So you'll have an order from a customer and you have to do it. What's different here from the way Cook Serve Delicious works, from what I can remember, again, it's been a while, is that they want you to do 2 things at once. So you will have 2 tasks to do at the same time. And they're usually, they're always focused on one side of the controller. So you might be asked to tap the left bumper 17 times on one side of the screen. And then the other one will have you holding the right trigger on the right side of the controller. And then when you hold that, keep holding that, and then hold this other button, hold the right bumper, hold the A button. And then when you hold them both together, you let go. And you repeat that 5 times. Or you have to tap this certain pattern. Tap A, then B, then Y, then X, and A, then B, then Y, then X. Or tap the left bumper, then A, then the left bumper, then A. And you don't have to do them simultaneously. But in order to get the fastest completion of an order and make the customer the happiest, you will have to do them at the same time. That kind of simultaneous action with both my hands, I can't do that. I just can't. It took me forever to be okay at piano of doing different things, because what I inherently want to do is the same exact movement action with both my hands. So if I'm doing something with both my hands, I know it doesn't really make sense if you look at like a controller where I'm maneuvering, but I'm moving around with the left analog stick and attacking with the right. That is not the... I'm sure there is someone smarter who can say why that is not the same and how it works in your head. But when I am, for instance, playing a piano and I just want to hit some chords, I want to just hit 2 keys repeatedly with my left hand to keep a rhythm going or something, and then I want to do some flourishes with my right hand, the rhythm at which I am hitting the notes with my left hand, I would want to do the same exact... I can't do them different. I can't have them alternating, or my hands want to do the same action when I'm doing activities like that. So in here, if I'm supposed to hold something and then tap the other thing, I might be able to hold it and tap some things, but when I have to hold something else, then everything breaks in me. So for me, it's just impossible to do things at the same time. Thankfully, you can still get pretty good results by not doing that, by focusing on one thing and at the same time. You will very likely never get the best results. So you won't get the super happy emoji, but you'll get the smiling emoji. And your goal with these levels is to typically get a certain number of this style of emoji while not getting more than 2 negative reactions. I've never gotten a negative customer reaction because it's pretty easy again to just get the second highest smiley face through just focusing on one task at a time. That may get much more difficult in the later areas, but because that's the way it works and its goal is this simultaneous action, I didn't love it all that much playing it. It's not for me, but if that's a kind of play style that you dig, definitely worth checking out. But I have not been great at this ever since Schizoid on the Xbox Live Arcade, and I can't remember if that's how Ibidom worked, if you played it by yourself or if you would switch between the two, but any game that asks you to do 2 things at the same time, I'm like, I'm broken. Give me something else to do. I can't do this. So, yeah. It just doesn't compute for me, but it may compute for you. That is, again, Cook Serve Forever. Morgan Metal Detective is a cute little game where you are going around this small island with a metal detector digging up shit. There is some story stuff going on. I kind of started to ignore it early on. Solid voice acting, though. Except for the first guy you interact with, Dave. He has a very stilted, slow delivery that was weird. It was weird and awkward. To the point where I was like, is this character AI? What is going on? Why is their delivery so slow? It'd be like, I would like you to do this for me, if you please. I don't know. And then they had various accents. So I wasn't just doing the accent. I wasn't just saying people with that accent sound slow or anything. Calm down. But everyone else is more natural. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that kind of delivery. It just was off. Some people sound that way, Not saying that people who sound that way are off. So I very much would apply that just now. So fuck me. But you talk to people in the town and they'll ask you to do certain things for them. Whether it is with Dave, the first guy, I think that's his name. Because I was like, oh, look, Dave. I wonder if he dives. Because it's I think he's a fisherman. I was like, oh, are you also a diver? Dave? Doesn't look anything like Dave. Dave the diver. But he asked you to find his wedding ring, I believe. So you go around where he told you he last had it, and you eventually find it. But then you do this with other people. There's an archaeologist or something, and then you go to various dig sites and collect some things. But then you can also explore the environment and just dig up random stuff. And the way the gameplay works is just you have your metal detector, and then you sweep it around. And when you are near something that is activating the metal detector, you'll see on your little meter, it has a gauge with, I think, 5 different slots of various hertz numbers that are indicating what type of material you'll find. And then you can stop sweeping to more focus this thing. And when you are high enough with that, when you can tell that you are zoned in on an object, you can dig in that spot. I played the game for maybe a little over an hour, and I almost immediately just ignored any kind of story related stuff. You get some cassette tapes that will have stuff you can bits of story from your grandfather or things like that you can get extra information that way. But I just started going around the environment, sweeping everywhere and digging up random stuff. And it was fine. Part of it is on me for playing it that way. There is a sense of relaxation to the monotonous nature of the gameplay of doing that. But at the same time, and even when I was doing the various tasks, I wasn't super engaged. And I think part of it is because there was a store that I guess I could use the coins I specifically found. But I don't think there's any way to recycle all the cans and bottle caps and stuff like that I found that would be able to give me back currency that I could then spend on whatever, cosmetics for my sweep, or what is it? My metal detector or anything like that. So all of the random garbage that I collected, it showed up in my little menu screen because you have, you've collected so much of this type of material in your regular materials, and then you have your special materials. I see that number go up. Yeah. But after collecting 10 cans and 10 bottle caps and so on and so forth, it just felt like, what is this all for? Can I at least do something with all this stuff I've collected? And maybe that gets unlocked at some point and I should have focused on the story. But in the way I was playing, I was just like, oh, this is kind of nice stuff. It just kind of turn your brain off and do this single task all over this space. It's kind of fun, kind of nice, but also, what is this all for? In addition to that, the map is broken. It seems off by, on my 43-inch TV, by like a centimeter, in that where it shows me on the map is not where I'm on the map. Because I was walking on the path that was at the edge of the island on the western side. But it showed me as being inside of that path on the field when I was not on the field. So it makes it a little bit tricky. It does that with other characters and where they are on the map. So it makes it a little tricky to find certain things when using the map. You'll be able to use it to find, to know you're in the general area, but then you have to kind of look when you're in the open world, which is it's a small island. It's not very large, but you have to look for the person that you want to start your next mission on, and so on, your next task. But it's pleasant enough. I also believe it is a rather short experience from what I saw, only a few hours. So I probably shouldn't have just wandered around doing nothing, but I collected maybe 50, 60, maybe even 70 items. I dug so many holes all over the environment. And I was saying to myself after a while, what the hell am I doing? Why don't I try and do some kind of story things? And that's when I eventually got to the dig sites and was helping her out. And I got to the third one, which I believe would be the final one. And I was just like, you know what? I've played enough of this. It was all right. That is, again, Morgan Metal Detective. Then we have a few more. We have Pinball FX, the Windballs. The Williams Pinball Volume 9 collection. This, again, includes Pinbot, Taxi, and Whodunit. Taxi and Pinball are all right, but not that great. I do love seeing these tables regardless of their quality, just in the sense that with the delisting and all of that from Pinball Arcade, it's nice having new ways of accessing the tables for people who didn't get that and also prefer the physics and feel and look of Pinball FX versus the Pinball Arcade. I've gone all over numerous times how I prefer the vibe, the atmosphere, the feel, the look, everything about Pinball Arcade. It does have a bit of a lack of fidelity in ways, but overall I just think the general vibe and atmosphere is much better, and I like the feel. But these are pretty good. But Pinball, Pinbot, and Taxi are pretty basic. Pinball especially is very barren. It has some nice table art, but the vast majority of the table is completely empty of any kind of interactive elements, bumpers, ramps. So much of the table is completely empty until you get to the very back of it. There's at the very back, there's this kind of device thing that you can hit and interact with certain color elements of it. But it is a very, very empty table. So I didn't enjoy that one so much. Taxi is also pretty sparse. All of these are, I'm assuming, given their names, like Taxi, it's a much earlier table. That one wasn't all that great either. Whodunit, in comparison, also with Pinbot, you do have these nice standees, these robots there, which are nice visual elements, but they don't actually do anything. They might do something when you hit certain things, but they don't do anything on the actual table that you have to worry about. They didn't seem to. I think it was... No, it's Whodunit. Whodunit, still in comparison, especially to their original tables where they can do so many things like the recently released Tomb Raider tables, still on the more barren side, but there's more stuff going on in Whodunit. I like the gameplay elements of it, of interacting with the table in certain ways and then getting to pick Whodunit, and it works like a kind of clue game where you are trying to figure out who is the criminal, and I don't know if that varies from play to play. I would hope so. Otherwise, once you figure out, once you know who done it, you can just automatically pick them every single time. But when you select someone and they're wrong, they'll just say, "Oh, I have an alibi," and then you'll get 20 million, 30 million, etc. for removing one of the suspects. And one thing about the game, I love the vibe of it. I love the music of it. I love the look of it. I had a lot of fun playing it. It's one of my favorite tables I've played in Pinball FX in a long time. The one thing about it, though, compared to so many of their tables, and I'm assuming, because this is a real table, emulated in the digital sense, it doles out points like crazy. I ended my first playthrough with 250 million points or something, which placed me, presumably, not because I was very good at it, but because of a lack of a player base. It put me at 99. I was the 99th best score overall in the world, I assume. I don't think it's local. Which, haven't seen anything like that for me in a while. But also just the way the table is doling out. Here's 10 million here, here's 5 million here, here's 30 million here, here's 40 million here. It just gives you points like crazy. So if you like seeing a high number of points and like seeing it frequently, you are going to get so much dopamine from this game, from this table specifically. But disregarding that, because I don't really care. I was just like, oh wow, this game is just giving me points left and right. Because sometimes I see those numbers and I don't see them correlate on the table. Nope. I'm at 250 million. What the hell? It also is the only table, I think, and I feel like with its more elaborate table setup and all of that, I'm assuming it's a more modern table than the other two, because the other two also don't have, if you just let the ball fall through immediately upon launching it, they don't have any kind of ball save grace period window of, all right, you lost the ball already, we'll give you a free one. They don't have any of that. But Whodunit does. Which again makes me think that there's a bit of an age gap between the two, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I really, really, really like that table. One of my favorite Pinball FX tables in a while. So yeah, solid collection. I wish I liked the way Pinball FX played more, and I wish there was, I don't know, maybe there is a ability to customize the overall look and feel of the environment to give it more of a old arcadey feel to it. because they have a lot of tables in there. They don't. I don't know if they'll ever have all the tables from Pinball Arcade because they had a lot. I have a lot there. I want to have all of them, and I have all of them in Pinball FX. But yeah, solid new addition to the Pinball FX library. And then last is Pokettohiro, Pokettohiro. This is from Rollica Games, and it very much looks like a lot of their and East Asia Soft, Limited, etc. Those very simplistic pixel art platformers, side-scrolling platformers. But instead of it being like many of them, which are level-based and maybe have 50 to 100 levels, they're very simple with varying degrees of challenge and whatnot. This is an open world with save points and tasks to go do, quests to go on, and the freedom to tackle things in the order you want. I'm not sure if there will be areas that you can't reach until you unlock this or that, because there are multiple characters you can play as. And I know in one area there was a space that I couldn't get to, but it wasn't mission specific, I don't believe, quest specific. I think it was just kind of, hey, you can get this extra collectible here or something like that if you were a different character who could get into this smaller shape and fit into this gap and then reach this area. But in what I played, I think I can appreciate the ambition of the game, of being this more open game. That is cool. But from an actual play standpoint, one, it doesn't look that good. These games, I think a lot of the more simplistic pixel art 2D platformers actually have nice looks to them often. This is very basic and doesn't have a lot of personality, or I don't want to say creativity in the enemy designs. There's just nothing really standing out, nothing popping. And then from a gameplay element, I find you're a bit slippery. Don't love that. Never love that. And then your attack, the weird thing about attacking enemies is they're pretty easy to deal with. But if you maybe fall on an enemy, you're jumping around, you slip off an edge, and you hit an enemy and you take damage. While you are invulnerable for a few seconds or so after taking damage, so you can't just take 3 hits of damage immediately. So you have that iframe period, that moment of invulnerability. You also can't damage the enemies in that state. And there's no real clear indicator of when you'll be able to hit an enemy again, which is a little bit frustrating. I found that weird. It just felt weird. I didn't love playing the game. So while I appreciated this more open design as opposed to being very basic level based, I just didn't like playing it as much as I've enjoyed other similar games that were more level based. So yeah, I'd be curious. I still want to play some more, and I want to unlock some of the other characters to get a feel, an idea of how they play, because maybe they play significantly differently, or maybe it's just giving you this additional way to interact with certain parts of the environment, if that's all they really do. Curious. But it was all right. It was okay. Nothing amazing or anything that you really need to check out. But if you want to play something of that ilk that's a bit more open-ended as opposed to level-based, worth checking out. That is, again, Pokettohiro. That is going to do it, though, for this here episode of the Pixelated Sausage Show. Once again, I am Marcus Nez. Y'all can find me pretty much everywhere at PX Sausage. If you enjoy this here show or any of the stuff I do and what have you, you can support me and my nonsense over at patreon.com/PXS. There you can get access to the Sausage Dump, a show where I just dump random thoughts here or there, as well as a private Discord channel along with some fancy Discord roles. Or you can just support me to support me if that is your fancy. That is, again, patreon.com/PXS. In addition to the Patreon, you can find links to the site, the YouTube, the Discord, and so much more over at pxsausage.com. That is the letter P, the letter X, sausage.com. That is it. That is all. As always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoy this here episode, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. But for now, adios, arrivederci, bye,
It's go time, go daddy. It's go time, go daddy.